The Silent Guardians. The mining colony of Meridian hung like a forgotten jewel in the vastness of space, its biodomes glittering against the backdrop of the mineral-rich asteroid belt it called home. To the Galactic Confederation, it was merely Human Outpost 37B. Unremarkable, understaffed, and utterly insignificant. To the 3,000 souls who called it home, it was simply Meridian, a place of hard work, honest living, and the promise of a future away from Earth's overcrowded cities. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the viewport of Meridian's modest command center, watching mining drones ferry ore between the asteroid clusters. At 43, she'd spent 2 decades in Earth's defense forces before accepting this quiet posting. Her weathered face and the scars on her hands spoke of battles long past, battles she had hoped to forget. "Commander, unusual readings at the edge of the system," called out Thomas Chen, their young sensor technician. "Mass displacement consistent with multiple ships exiting FTL." Elena's stomach tightened. Meridian wasn't scheduled for supply drops for another month. Classification: unknown, but big. Really big. The first ships appeared moments later. Sleek, predatory vessels with hulls that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. Their design was unmistakable to anyone who had studied xenology. Voracians, the scavengers of the galaxy, consumers of resources and civilizations alike. "Sound the alarm," Elena ordered, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her throat. "Get everyone to the emergency shelters." The colony had no real defenses, just 2 outdated point defense turrets and a handful of mining explosives. The Galactic Confederation had assured humanity that this sector was secure, that military installations weren't necessary in peaceful regions. Elena had always questioned that assumption. Now she knew why. The first strike came without warning or demands. A lance of crimson energy sliced through Meridian's main communications array, severing their connection to Earth in an instant. The second strike punctured the agricultural dome, venting precious atmosphere into space. Screams echoed through the emergency channels as colonists raced for sealed sections. "They're not here to negotiate," Elena told her hastily assembled team in the hardened command bunker. "This is an extermination." Former military engineer Marcus Reed nodded grimly. "Why attack us? We're just miners." "Perhaps it's not what we have," said Dr. Amarisen, the colony's chief scientist. "But what we represent, humanity's expansion." As the Voratian ships deployed landing craft, Elena made a decision. "We fight, not because we can win, but because we must survive long enough for help to arrive." But help seemed impossible. With communications down and the nearest human outpost light years away, Meridian stood alone. The first week was brutal. The colonists, most with only basic defense training, fought with mining tools, improvised explosives, and desperate courage. The Voratians, tall, chitinous creatures with multiple limbs ending in natural weapons, slaughtered without mercy. Their translator devices broadcast a single message on repeat: "Your resources are claimed. Your existence is terminated." Elena led hit-and-run attacks from the maintenance tunnels beneath the colony's main structures. They'd managed to destroy 2 Voratian shuttles and even capture some of their weapons, strange, organic-looking rifles that fired crystalline projectiles capable of shredding through standard body armor. By day 10, they had lost half the colony. The survivors huddled in the deep mining caverns, rationing oxygen and water. Children whimpered in the darkness, too exhausted to cry properly. Adults whispered prayers or sat in stunned silence. "We can't last another week," Marcus told Elena as they examined their dwindling supplies. "The main reactor is failing. Once it goes, life support follows." Elena nodded, her eyes hollow from lack of sleep. "I know." It was that night, in the desperate quiet of their underground refuge, that Elena remembered something. A detail from her military days, a rumor whispered among the highest ranks of Earth's defense forces, something about outposts like Meridian having a purpose beyond their stated function. She made her way to the oldest section of the mining facility, the original habitat module established 30 years earlier. The biometric scanner beside the unmarked door hadn't been used in decades, but when Elena placed her palm against it, it hummed to life. "Command authorization required," stated a synthetic voice. "Commander Elena Reyes, Earth Defense Force, ID 47,291 Alpha." A pause. Then, "Genetic verification confirmed. Welcome, Commander. Protocol status." Elena hesitated only briefly. "Activate Protocol Silent Sentinel." The hidden chamber beyond the door contained a single console, ancient by modern standards, but meticulously maintained by automated systems. As the screen illuminated, Elena understood the truth. Meridian wasn't just a mining colony. It was a node in humanity's hidden defense network, a system so secret that even most military commanders didn't know of its existence. The console displayed a simple message: "Silent Sentinel activate. Humankind deployed. Estimated or bonus time. 36 hours." When Elena returned to the survivors, she carried something they hadn't had in days: hope. "Hold on," she told them. "Just hold on for 2 more days." The Voratians intensified their attacks, as if somehow sensing the colonists' renewed determination. They deployed sonic weapons that caused tunnels to collapse and biological agents that ate through metal. The colonists fought back with everything they had: jury-rigged explosives, captured weapons, and increasingly, their bare hands. Elena lost count of how many she killed. Her military training had returned in full, transforming her from administrator to warrior. She taught the miners how to set ambushes, how to use the colony's ventilation systems to deploy makeshift poison gas, how to kill efficiently. "What exactly did you activate?" Dr. Sen asked Elena during a rare quiet moment, as they treated wounded in their makeshift infirmary. "Something I wasn't sure existed," Elena replied. "A last resort." The Voratian commander finally addressed them directly on day 12, broadcasting to the emergency frequency they used. "Your resistance is impressive but futile," the translated voice buzzed. "Surrender your resources, and we will grant quick deaths." Elena's response was brief: "Come and take them." Hours later, their sensors detected new FTL signatures at the system's edge. The colonists held their breath, fearing Voratian reinforcements. But these ships moved differently: precise, coordinated, deadly in their efficiency. The first communication came on an encrypted channel that Elena's military implant recognized automatically. The voice was deep, authoritative, and unmistakably human. "Meridian Colony, this is Admiral Kazimir Volkov of the Terran Defense Fleet Dark Horizon. We received your silent sentinel activation. Hold position. The cavalry has arrived." From the shadows beyond known space, humanity's secret armada emerged, not the diplomatic vessels of the Confederation fleet, but warships that had never appeared in any public record. Ships with predatory lines and weapons that defied conventional understanding of physics. Ships crewed not by peacekeepers, but by warriors who had trained for this very moment. The colonists emerged from their tunnels to witness the night sky ablaze with weapons fire. The Voratian vessels, so overwhelming against a defenseless colony, now scattered before the onslaught of ships that moved like wolves among sheep. Elena stood with her fellow survivors, watching through the cracked dome, as Earth's hidden might revealed itself to an unsuspecting galaxy. The message was clear to friend and foe alike: underestimate humanity at your peril. The silent sentinels had awakened, and they had come for blood. Fury unleashed. Admiral Kazimir Volkov was not what Elena had expected. Standing in Meridian's damaged command center, he cut an imposing figure, tall, broad-shouldered, with a network of scars visible along his jawline. His uniform bore no insignia of rank, only a simple patch depicting Earth partially eclipsed by shadow. "Commander Reyes," he acknowledged with a curt nod. Your defense of this colony was adequate. Elena bristled. My people fought with mining tools against military-grade weapons. We lost over 1,000 civilians. And yet you held, Volkov replied. That's what matters. The Silent Sentinel Protocol isn't just a distress call. It's a test. If you hadn't been able to survive until our arrival, Meridian wouldn't have been worth saving. The brutality of this calculation shocked Elena, but before she could respond, the tactical officer from Volkov's flagship interrupted. Admiral, Voratian reinforcements detected. 3 capital ships, at least 24 support vessels. Volkov smiled, the cold expression of a predator sensing wounded prey. Excellent. Deploy the Thanatos Protocol. What followed was unlike any military operation Elena had witnessed in her 20 years of service. The Terran Defense Fleet didn't just fight the Voratians, they hunted them. Their ships moved in formations that seemed to anticipate enemy maneuvers before they occurred. Their weapons bypassed Voratian shields, as if they didn't exist. How is this possible? Elena asked, watching the tactical display as another enemy vessel disintegrated. The Confederation has always maintained that humanity's military technology is centuries behind other species. A convenient fiction, Volkov explained. After the First Contact War a century ago, Earth's governments made a decision. Our public face would be diplomatic, scientific, commercial, but behind that mask, we would prepare. Every human colony, every outpost, every mining facility serves a dual purpose. Elena looked around at her battered colony with new understanding. We're all just bait. Sensors, Volkov corrected. Early warning systems. Meridian's mineral composition makes it perfect for concealing quantum entanglement communicators, undetectable by conventional scans and instantaneous across any distance. On the surface below, the ground war continued. The Voratians had established a foothold in Meridian's eastern habitation zone, using the structures as cover against orbital bombardment. Elena led a mixed force of colonists and Volkov's Marines, elite soldiers with exoskeleton armor and weapons that seemed to anticipate their users' intentions. They're adapting to our tactics, Elena reported after a particularly brutal skirmish. Learning our patterns. Volkov nodded, unsurprised. It's what makes them dangerous. The Voratians aren't just warriors. They're evolutionary specialists. Each battle teaches them, makes them stronger. Then we need to end this quickly. The Admiral's expression darkened. No, we need to make them regret ever encountering humanity. The battle for Meridian lasted 3 more days. The colonists fought alongside the military specialists, no longer afraid but fueled by righteous anger. Each destroyed dome, each lost friend hardened their resolve. Elena found herself transformed, viewing the colony not just as home, but as a fortress to be defended at all costs. On the 4th day, Volkov revealed the true extent of his strategy. What the Voratians had thought was a desperate last stand was actually an elaborate trap. The Terran fleet had been herding the enemy vessels toward the asteroid belt surrounding Meridian. The mining charges your people planted throughout the asteroid field over the years, Volkov explained to Elena. They weren't just for excavation, were they? Elena suddenly understood. The high-density plasma explosives. We've been positioning them for decades, embedding them deep in the largest asteroids. Volkov nodded. And now, we use them. The detonation transformed the placid asteroid field into an expanding cloud of hypervelocity projectiles. Millions of rock fragments, from dust-sized to building-sized, accelerated toward the clustered Voratian fleet. No shields could stop the onslaught. It wasn't a weapon so much as the weaponization of physics itself. From the relative safety of Meridian's reinforced bunkers, Elena watched the destruction unfold. The Voratian fleet didn't just lose. It ceased to exist, torn apart by an artificial meteor storm that their sensors couldn't track and their ships couldn't evade. This was always the plan, Elena realized. From the moment the first miners set charges in those asteroids 30 years ago. Humanity doesn't build warships like other species. Volkov confirmed. We turn environments into weapons. Every human colony is surrounded by its own unique defense system, disguised as industrial infrastructure. The aftermath was both victory and devastation. Half of Meridian lay in ruins, but already Volkov's ships had deployed construction drones and medical units. The rebuilding would be swift, and the colony would emerge stronger, its defenses now openly military rather than hidden. A week after the battle, as Elena helped coordinate reconstruction efforts, she received a summons to Volkov's command ship. In a sparse meeting room, she found not just the admiral but a holographic projection of a woman in a simple gray uniform. Commander Reyes, the woman greeted her. I am Director Cheng of Terran Strategic Command. Your performance during the Meridian incident has been noted. Elena straightened. Thank you, Director. Don't thank me yet, Cheng replied with a thin smile. The Voratians weren't acting alone. Their attack on your colony was a test. Not by them, but by greater powers watching from the shadows. Volkov activated a holographic display showing dozens of worlds, all human colonies scattered across known space. Red warning indicators pulsed around nearly a third of them. The silent Sentinel network is activating across the frontier, he explained. What happened at Meridian was just the beginning. Elena studied the display, recognizing the patterns of a coordinated offensive. They're probing our defenses, testing our resolve. Yes, Director Cheng confirmed. And now that they've seen our response at Meridian, they'll adapt. The next wave won't be so easily defeated. Volkov turned to Elena. We need commanders who face the enemy directly, people who understand what we're fighting for. Elena thought of the colonists she'd led, miners and farmers transformed into warriors by necessity. She thought of the children who would grow up knowing that the galaxy was not the peaceful expanse promised by the Confederation. What exactly are you offering? She asked. Command of the Meridian Defense Group, Volkov replied. 5 warships, 2,000 personnel. Your colony won't just be rebuilt. It will become a fortress world. Director Cheng's hologram leaned forward. Make no mistake, Commander. This is the beginning of a war that has been brewing for generations. Other species thought they could pick us off colony by colony, that humanity would be easy prey. Elena remembered the Voratian commander's contempt, the casual brutality of their attack. She remembered the faces of those she couldn't save. They were wrong, she said simply. Precisely, Cheng nodded. And now the galaxy will learn exactly what that means. 3 months later, the reconstructed Meridian stood as a testament to human resilience and determination. Its biodomes were reinforced with military-grade materials. Defense turrets, no longer disguised as mining equipment, stood openly on its perimeter. The asteroid field, once its economic lifeblood, now formed a bristling defensive perimeter seeded with automated weapon platforms. And in orbit above, Elena's small but lethal battle group patrolled, a visible warning to any who might mistake human restraint for weakness. The Voratians had believed they were attacking an insignificant mining outpost. Instead, they had awakened humanity's sleeping might and triggered the very war they had hoped to win through surprise and brutality. Across the frontier of human space, other silent sentinels were awakening. Other colonies were transforming from peaceful outposts to fortress worlds. The mask of civility that humanity had worn for generations was slipping, revealing the steel beneath. As Elena stood on Meridian's observation deck, watching her ships in formation against the stars, she understood the truth that the galaxy was only now beginning to grasp. They had mistaken humanity's patience for weakness. They had seen our colonies and thought them defenseless prey. They had been wrong, and the price of that mistake would echo across the stars for generations to come.